to your director, Mickey Keating, a few days ago, and he has this fantastic sort of enthusiasm and energy about him. And I just wondered how much of an influence that was on you in agreeing to kind of sign up for the film, as script aside.
Yeah, well, you read my mind because yes, it is, anytime you're making a decision, it's partly the role and the material and the script, and partly what the experience is going to be and who your collaborators are going to be. And so for off season, I did love the script, and then when I sat down with Mickey, he's like a puppy dog for cinema. He just has this really pure enthusiasm, this real passion for filmmaking, and the way he talked about how this was going to be shot and what it was going to be, it really was attracted me to the project.
I understand he gave you a little bit of kind of research beforehand. He gave you a couple of books to read, didn't he? I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a constant reader, so I love when any director will tell me to read something. And it's always fun also to know what a director's references are, just to like expand my frame of reference for film, and storytelling. And so in this case, Mickey talked a lot about Southern Gothic short stories. So I read some William Faulkner, some Shirley Jackson, revisited some stuff that I had read in high school. I'm a nerd for that kind of stuff anyway. But yeah, William Faulkner and Shirley Jackson, both of them have like this kind of these family stories and stories about isolation and stories where you don't know if the narrator is unraveling or if it's actually happening in the real world. So all of those kind of literary elements, I feel like did play in the movie.
And Mickey also did a great job of assembling a cast, because alongside you, you've got Joe Swanberg, you've got Larry Fessenden, Richard Brake. I mean, there's an awful lot of experience, coming together there. I know you share a particularly sort of tense scene with Richard Brake towards the end of the film. What was that like, being on the receiving end of that monologue? It seemed pretty intense to me.
Oh wow. Yeah, that was so cool. I mean, I've loved Richard's work, and then to like be actually 6 feet away from him while he's just like emanating this, he's so scary in this movie. But also like his character is so grounded. Like he's coming from a place of what he really wants. He's actually jealous of Marie's history and what her family's fate. She's trying to escape it and he wants it. So like there's this real tense battle between them. Um, and it's so wild. Like when you're on set for a couple weeks, we had been there for 2 or 3 weeks, and then these powerhouse character actors just come in and just like steal it, like just to watch him just come in and nail it every time. Like it's just so helpful. It brings a different energy. And like you say, like Marie is kind of like the grounded avatar for the audience, like where the audience is seeing everything at the same time she is learning everything as she is. But then when I get to bounce off all these different types of characters, whether it was Melora and like our kind of like complicated mother-daughter scenes, or with Joe Swanberg, who's so good at improvising and being natural, and like we have kind of a weird, ambiguous, tense relationship already coming into the film. And then with Richard, it was just awesome. It was so much fun.
Yeah, I expect it was. I'm a fan of Richard's, as well, in particular, as he's from the British Isles. Um,
Mhm.
what sort of advice or tips were you able to sort of pick up from them? Did they have any kind of sage words for you at all?
I mean, it's just great to like be in the presence of very experienced actors, just to see what their process is. I mean, it's fun to like each actor you like work through the scenes. Some of them, and me, I'm someone who does like a lot of prep before I come, and then like to just play around when I'm there. Um, Melora, like I felt like had like almost like a theater style. Like it was like a lot about the blocking and what we were gonna do in the space. With Richard, like we kind of just we ran it a whole bunch of times, like without the intensity. And then when we got on set and with the elements and the crazy wind and the rain and the flashing lights and like everything just gets amped up. So like it was cool to kind of like just see the process and workshop a scene with them, even if it is only over the course of like an hour.
Excellent. Now, it's obviously clear from looking at your sort of film CV that you love the horror genre. And I was just wondering what it is that, so appeals to you, and what keeps you engaged with it to keep coming back. Because obviously, I think you started with sort of Ty West's House of the Devil, and as I say, you've come back time and time again. So what is it that's really kind of keeps you in love with it?
Yeah, I mean, part of it is that, I feel like a lot of the collaborators that I've worked with since House of the Devil probably learned about me from that. And, like that just being in that world is part of it. And I've just been so fortunate, like, and so spoiled to have worked with some incredible horror just filmmakers, and horror just encompasses so much. Like, I mean, even in off season, there's so many shades of there's the family drama and trauma and sadness and grief. There's the investigation elements of trying to uncover a mystery. I love playing that kind of thing. I love the physical challenges of it. I've always been an athlete, so I did a lot of running in this movie, but so the survival stuff is very interesting. There's just always, high stakes, a lot to play, very emotional. It's great because horror has allowed me to have some really great protagonist roles where maybe I wouldn't have gotten to have those in bigger ensemble or comedy things. Although I do, I'd love to do that stuff as well. But horror is a great place to have great characters.
Yeah, well, that's funny because you read my mind a little bit there saying about sort of keeping fit, because one of the things that I thought you must love about horror movies is keeping yourself fit because of the amount of running that you do. You do a fair amount in off season, and the genre in general, you tend to find you running up the stairs or running down an alleyway or whatever it may be. So I guess it helps that the keeping yourself in shape. How easy was that to do in that long coat that you were in? I know that you really sort of dug the outfit that you had, that kind of retro thing, and I just wondered if that was a hindrance to you, and if you've got a general kind of interest in fashion, because I think I'd read somewhere that you'd once modelled for Levi jeans a long time ago. Is that
Yeah,
right?
one of my very first jobs was a commercial for Levi's, but yes, I am very interested. I love wardrobe, and in fact, when I was in college, that was kind of my first foray into working on set, as I was working as a stylist assistant before I became an actor. And so yeah, the wardrobe is in costume is super important, and it really helps get in character. And in this case, I was just obsessed. It was perfect costume, and it almost felt like a trench coat, pants, boots, turtleneck. It felt very utilitarian also. So in fact, it wasn't a hindrance. It was very comfortable and great for all the running. And I made sure that I had heels that I could run in, because I did run miles. I put in some miles on this movie.
Were you fortunate enough to keep some of the wardrobe, or did you have to hand that back?
I do. I have a trench coat because we had to have doubles, so I have one of them, and it's beautiful. I have a collection of trench coats actually. I have another one from a movie I did called The Last Godfather, which was set in the 40s. So I have a 40s one. Now I have another 70s one to add to the collection.
She didn't want to come back here. She didn't want to be buried here. There's something wrong with this place.
The asylum ain't very big. I could be a real friend to you.
I was interested to know as to whether or not you had any ambition to kind of step behind the camera and direct something. And if you did, would you start with horror, or is there something else that maybe you've got a passion project brewing that you'd like to sort of bring to fruition?
Yeah, I do have a couple pots simmering. I feel like I don't know if I would want to direct, but I'm definitely interested in writing, producing, bringing people together. I love the collaborative element of making film. And like I said, I've always been a constant reader, so I'm always keeping and just as I work longer and longer in the industry, learning what I like, what I would want to write for myself or write for others. So I have a few things going, and I would definitely say they're in the genre.
Cool. I wanted to ask about the bridge scene. To understand everything was kind of on location. It was a real, sort of functioning bridge. And where you see it in the film, you're pushing this button and pulling this lever, and it seems incredibly complicated. And I was just wondering if it genuinely was that complicated, or was it literally just, oh, this is how we normally do it, push that button?
Well, we were not allowed, I didn't actually operate the bridge, so all of like the pressing the buttons, that's an insert, of course. But we did, it was cool to like talk to the bridge operator and learn how they did it. And then in the film, there's like that kitschy instructional video, which is just pure Mickey Keating. Like that touch is so him. Um, and I do love that scene, and that's one of the things I loved about the script and the project too, is just the urgency of the ticking clock. Like I that just really adds like this great element. And so yeah, inside there, like I did, it was fun to learn about it. And there were definitely a few steps. There were buttons, there were levers, there were, and yeah, you're responsible for, boats passing and cars passing and pedestrians. And so it's, a serious responsibility for someone else.
Yeah. As obviously we just mentioned that it was shot on location, and I know Mickey said that we'd had this sort of town in mind in Florida for setting in it. As an actor, do you find it more inspiring to be working on location? Are you able to draw much more from that and put that into your performance, as opposed to maybe being on a sort of purpose-built soundstage?
Of course, yeah, no doubt. And this in this case, like the setting was something in the script, like you can see it written out, like the way that he knew where he was going to shoot. Like he knew that we were going to shoot in this little town called New Smyrna, which seemed like untouched by time. It was this little 1940s main street where like we shot all the abandoned city scenes. So there's that vibe, and then there's also like this really like lush, jungly, tropical. We shot on the National Seashore down at the it's called the Apollo National Seashore. It was just so striking and so atmospheric. Like we did bring fog machines, but even without the fog machines, it was very atmospheric and just definitely puts you you're in the elements. And if Marie was trying to escape this place, which has just such a weird nightmare geography to it, it really helps the performance, of course. And you can't recreate that, and you can't beat that production value either. It was just so visually striking.
Just coming back to the running aspect, you saying the fog machines, obviously there's a lot of kind of ambiance thrown in from those fog machines. What was that like running through it? Because it is pretty thick from what we see on film.
Yeah, people always ask, like, were you ever scared, or what was scary? Like, the only scary moment I had was running full speed through fog. Like, there was a couple times where I couldn't see the ground in front of me. Like, and it wasn't even in the jungle. It was just like a couple times on the street where I was just like, if I hit a pothole, like, I'm just gonna like, go fall flat on my face. But yeah, it's really cool. And I think it's also like a nice metaphor for what Marie is, her understanding is so cloudy, and then everything's coming into focus, and what seemed impossible is becoming more and more clear, and she has to accept what's in front of her. So I think it's helpful for the motif.
Yeah, excellent. I wanted to ask as well about the kind of cinematography aspect of it, because they've done a fantastic job of making it look so quiet. But I understand you had some fairly sort of sizable crowds at times, sort of all watching. And did they influence you in terms of your performance? Was it a little bit like being on stage where you felt a little bit more pressure, perhaps?
I mean, movie magic, and like just outside of the frame that there's real life going on. At night there's like usually no one around, but like for the bar scenes, like we arrived at this bar that was still open, so there's a ton of people, and everyone having a good time, and so definitely had to like tune them out to like stay in my like creeped out isolation mode. But yeah, like you say, the cinematography on this is just gorgeous. I mean, Mac Fiskin is so talented, and he and Mickey have made so many movies together, and that was also one of the reasons why I wanted to where on a small film, like the most important things are the camera crew, you know, your director and your cast, and that really just makes the experience. And Mac's crew is just so professional, like, and they're just so precise, and it's only a few people, but they just like make it look like this super expensive movie.
Yeah.
And they're so talented.
Yeah, no, they did a great job. My final question, because we're close to wrap now. Just wanted to come back about sort of future projects. You said you've got a couple of things sort of on the boil there. Good old IMDb says that you've got a part in 2 of Everything. Can you tell us anything about that?
I won't say too much, but it's part of that's part of a game from Sam Barlow. Do you know his work?
Vaguely, I'll be
Yeah,
honest, not
he is.
too,
Yeah,
too okay.
he's a brilliant video game. He makes these like narrative full motion movie games. And this one is premiering at Tribeca next week, and hopefully will release this summer. But so since it's a game, I won't reveal anything really, but it's about cinema. So I feel like, you know, cinema lovers will like it and try to solve the mystery, and also gamers will love it as well. And then there's another film hopefully happening this summer that's kind of a crime western that I have coming up.
The place is evil. Is anybody there? I need help. Don't be frightened, dear.
Can't let you go, miss.
It's quite beautiful, you know. The island.